Hey guys, what's up? There are only two here to do another replay review, again of a Kindred jungle game. And again, this is around, I think Silver Elo, I think it is Silver 2. So let's again start off by just taking a quick look at the team comps. We have some very interesting teams here with Fiddlesticks mid and Yorick top, so champions you don't really see that often. Overall, neither of these teams really have a very coherent team comp. For example, here we have very little CC. With the any stun, of course. Katarina has no CC. Darius only has his pull and a slow. Graves also very little CC. So I think this game will probably come down to snowballing, or it's very likely at least. So let's see what happens. I'll also try to keep the video length down a lot after the last video was 1 hour 30 minutes long. Also, some of the things I might say here were probably already said in the other review. So let's take a look. So we'll just fast forward here. Probably just start with the regular items. Start bot lane. So again, just fast forward to these early parts. Again, hasn't marked anybody yet. As usual, you should probably just mark the enemy. Oh no, he marked the Darius top. This is it's an idea if you want to gank top early, but it kind of makes it obvious as well. So if you mark the enemy top lane, and he kind of knows that there's someone who's going to gank him, and he's probably going to walk. So again, in this case, you should just kite in this direction, because you want to go to the red buff anyways. So there's no reason to kite this way. You're a bit faster if you go this way. So you're doing a pretty good job kiting, not losing, almost losing no HP while doing it. So that's very good. Also, idea to place the ward here. I think against Graves, you usually don't have to do it. But it's better to be safe than sorry, I guess. So, let's do a quick clear. And since you already marked the Darius, you probably we're planning to gank him. Since he's under his turret at the moment, it's probably not something that you can do. So just keep clearing the jungle. Mid doesn't look very gankable either. And this Graves for some reason is very low, but usually, nice, you find the Graves here while doing the camp. Just take him down. So very nice. Usually this won't happen against Graves, because if Graves plays well and kites well, he should actually not lose any HP in the jungle. But you saw that he lost a lot of HP and just capitalized on that, so good with that. Again, steal his red buff, also a good idea. After you killed him and saw that he didn't have it, just take the free red buff, then wait for him here. On a side note, this is also the reason why it's probably better to just mark the enemy jungler, because as Kindred you're really strong in the early duels, so it's often worth it. But since you might be able to get the Darius here anyways, again, you should probably just use your Q to cut off his way. Although, I mean, it didn't matter in this case, you got him anyways, but if you jump with your Q kind of in this direction instead of jumping towards him, you're in range of him longer to attack him. But overall, good job. You saw the opportunity again to go gank him, and you even cashed in your mark, so it turned out pretty well. But this is kind of the reason why you want to mark the enemy jungle at the start. So, again, Hunter's Potion, I talked about this in the last video, so you might want to take a look at that. I'm not really a big fan, since it's not really needed and kind of delays your jungle. So, gotta get the Drake here. It's kind of a risky play, especially if you want to do the Drake. There are probably two things you want to do. So let's fight first. The Graves might still die. Yeah, good job. You also got the right smite item. So if you want to solo Drake like this, you have to remember that you don't really have a very easy escape. So first of all, what you want to do is place a ward down here and place a ward down here. Buy a pink ward and place it somewhere here. And on Kindred you also have the very good option to just come here and jump over the wall. If you had done this, the Graves probably wouldn't have even seen you. And it's also very safe. You jump in with your Q, and then you can simply jump back out. So Let's take a look at that for a second. Go a bit backwards again. So, because I missed this fight because I was talking. So let's go here and watch that again. Okay, so you see bot lane is very overextended, so you try to go there. In case like this, you have to be very careful because you see your Nami is level 3, your Tristana is extremely low, so they can't really help you out. There's also a big minion wave coming in, so you have to be kind of careful about the minion aggro. So this is kind of a risky gank, especially against Annie and Jhin, because they are very strong at simply just killing you. You're also not level 6 yet. You are pretty fed. You also got a pink ward, that's very nice to have. So let's see how this gank goes. So, this kind of, you mark Annie first and then you attack Jhin. It's kind of, probably know that it's probably not a good idea. Should just focus on one person. Obviously, your bot lane kind of misplayed this as well. So, but again, you should probably just say either if you put your E on Annie, just try to kill her. Especially if you see that Annie is trying to run away and Jhin is killing your team, you can maybe just kill the Annie and kill Jhin afterwards, because Jhin is not trying to run away. So, Annie kind of overextends here. It was pretty greedy. And okay, this obviously wasn't that great of a play. I think you probably know this. Was kind of greedy. You could have maybe even gotten the Annie. I think you could have queued in, and was kind of unlucky that the Q, not unlucky, but the Q hit the minions instead of hitting Annie. Kind of have to be more careful, I guess. And especially watch out when you use your ult. Your ult has an extremely long cooldown. It still has a 2-minute cooldown almost. So you don't want to use it in vain. So this is exactly what I was talking about. Jump over the wall, place the pink ward here. Good idea. So, just quickly solo the Drake. So here, their bot lane again. It's really dangerous to go bot for you. This should probably work out, but yeah. You're also really fat, so usually you would have to be scared of the Jhin and Annie, but since you're so fat and so far ahead, actually you can just go in and destroy them. So what we kind of see here is why Hunter's Potion isn't that amazing. We just saw you clear the camp, and again, if we look at this camp, you just see you don't really have to use any spells to clear the camp, and you're still doing it extremely quickly. So the Hunter's Potion, and you're also full HP as Kindred without Hunter's Potion. So the only reason to get Hunter's Potion is mana sustain, but you have enough mana. Okay, so again, we ambush the warriors. Good idea. Then the Grace is coming in as well. This, for example, was a really great ult, because Kindred is great at stalling the game. You kind of put everything on hold for 4 seconds. You say, okay, for 4 seconds, nothing is going to happen, no one is going to die, and these 4 seconds give your team time to arrive. And especially if you have Fiddlesticks, Fiddlesticks can just fear the enemy when the ult ends, as he does here, and it's basically a free kill. You also used it well to prevent the Katarina from killing you. Again here, there's probably not much you could have done. You could have maybe let the Fiddlesticks tank the turret. But I mean, it worked out. Everything worked out fine. So again, another good play. I mean, we see here you're extremely fed. So I'm kind of wondering what's going to happen here that makes this game last 43 minutes. I mean, it is 12 to 10, even though you are 7 and 2. So kind of something going wrong top lane and bot lane with an army. This is kind of expected when you have the Yorick top. I mean, to be completely honest, I don't think it's flaming or anything, but I mean, Yorick top. There's a reason he's not played, and that reason is that it's just not very good. But again, you're really fed. You probably get the Grace here again. Always have to be kind of aware where the enemy team is, because this is kind of a risky play again, because you're going into the enemy jungle. But again, the enemy team didn't punish you for it, and they have to be kind of scared of you. Especially if Fiddlesticks lands a good ult, you might be even able to just kill them. It's kind of an overextension. Should have probably just ran away, especially against the Katarina, because the Katarina is also really fat and you have to be kind of scared of her. She's also the one who's kind of the reason you even die in any of these fights. So, you're getting a Youmuu's Ghostblade, second item, and I think this is a great idea. The enemy team has 4 squishies, Graves, Katarina, Jin, and Annie. You're also really fat. Youmuu's is a great item if you are fat, and is a great item against squishies, so this is a really good idea. Usually I prefer the Hurricane as first item, but not if you're this fat and not if the enemy team is not tanky at all. You also want to get the burst from Youmuuu so you can quickly kill the Katarina and the Graves. So you're going to take the Rift Herald is another good idea, especially if you're so fat. Kind of way to snowball your advantage even further if you take it down. So again, you have to be kind of careful in these fights for Katarina, but again, you have the Fiddlesticks, so you can just spear him, so you can also simply kite the Graves, so I don't really know why he's going in here. It was kind of a bad play by him, but you punish it well, so. You could even take the Rift Road. I don't think it would be too trolly or something, too greedy if you simply took it. So again, especially if you're this fat and you're getting a Youmuu's Ghostblade, it's probably a good idea to just take it yourself. Especially since the Mark of the Void, I think it's called, isn't that amazing on Fiddlesticks, but it's really good on Kindred. So I think you could have taken that there, but obviously it's not a big issue that your Fiddlesticks have this. So want to take a look at the ultimate you use here. So your team is diving, you're just going in to finish them off, getting stunned by her, then using the ult to block the Graves ult. Good reaction time on that, so that was really nice. So again, it was kind of a greedy dive after all. Maybe it would have been a good idea to just queue over this wall, kill them, and then just run this way. Because then you maybe could have also, you could have easily or quicker killed the Katarina. But overall, I mean, it worked out, so. But maybe since you didn't have any vision over here, might have been safer to just go this way, because that also means you're with your team and can protect them. Since they were also diving and taking a lot of damage. You want to kind of stay with your team when you have your ultimate up and your teammates are low. But again, these are all very small things, and they're also kind of debatable. It wasn't 100% wrong to stay here, and it's also not something that you really can expect from the start. Also, this pink ward, I wonder when this will go down. I think it was up for a really long time now, and no one checked this brush ever. Oh, nope. Okay. I don't know. Okay, this is kind of weird to me. I think you're going to take the Drake, but you maybe should have just queued mid here and auto-attacked once or twice to just clear the wave. I mean, it's 4 free CS. That's almost 100 gold. So there's really no reason not to take it. And you also could have just taken the Grom and the Wolves on the way. I guess if you're trying to rush the Drake, it's not a bad idea. Again, just go this way, jump over the wall. It's a lot quicker to go this way, and it's also a lot safer because you don't have to run this way. It also means that you can potentially simply dodge wards, because it's pretty likely that the enemy team has a ward here, here, or maybe here, or maybe even simply at Drake. Also, if you jump in this way and the enemy team has a Scuttle Crab here, they can't see you doing Drake. So it's a very good way to sneak the dragon without the enemy team even noticing. So, again, you didn't really kite the red buff here, but that doesn't matter since it's so far into the game and I saw you kite it when it matters, so it's not a problem to just be kind of lazy and don't do it in that case, so that's not really a problem. So, probably going to defend the bot lane here, or yeah, it's kind of risky if you go there alone, so it's a good idea that you're waiting for your teammate. It was a pretty bad fiddle ultimate, but you're still able to take him down. Hopefully, yeah, you got your ultimate up. Good idea to just run out of it, and you're pretty safe. Katarina's coming here. how this fight goes. Then you have your ultimate. You have to be okay, let's see. Yeah, I mean, it works out. Okay, yeah. I don't know if there was anything actually, we look at this again for a second. When you ulted, go back to this, again here, see here, there's not really, when you ult, there's not really anything, any attacks flying at you. So I think if you would have just kept running, you might have even survived, and without even using your ult. So Katarina wasn't in range to, or she hadn't thrown her dagger yet or anything, and you can still always ult as soon as he throws her dagger or Jhin casts a spell. So kind of no reason to just ult there without anything flying at you. Other than that, pretty good. Against Katarina, you have to kind of be careful with your ultimate. In this case, it worked out really well, because I think the Katarina misplayed it a bit. She went in after you ulted and used her own ultimate. So obviously that's really bad because she's not gonna get any resets that way. But you sometimes get the situation where everybody is low because everybody's standing in the Kindred ultimate, and then Katarina just gets 10 resets, or rather 5 resets of course, and just kills your entire team. So you have to kind of be careful not to save the Katarina and kind of give her the reset when you go in like that. But this is general advice and not really concerned with this singular instant. In this instant, again, you didn't really have to even ult because there was nothing flying at you. Okay, so you just maybe you could have just taken the Annie. I mean, if you queued one more time, you would have gotten her. Also, I wonder, don't you have enough money? Yes. Okay, so I think you just forgot to buy the item. Obviously, if you have money to complete your Yomus, you should definitely do it. And in this case, the Yomus would have probably also gotten you the kill on Annie and potentially on the Katarina. So again, you're doing really well in this game. Just kind of greedy to run this way. It actually works out in this, maybe? I think you're gonna survive. It actually works out in this case, but the reason for that is kind of that the enemies misplayed that. If the enemies went a bit harder, they were 3v2, they could have just killed you probably. So you have to be kind of aware where the enemy team is, and you have to also be aware that a turret, especially this late in the game, like 20 minutes, doesn't really mean safety, and especially obviously if the turret is going down in a few seconds. So you have to kind of be aware of the turret's health when you try to defend it. Yeah, so for example in this again, it's not really, the turret is not able to protect you at 20 minutes. They can just CC you and instantly kill you. So again, let's wait for you to respawn, then so you opt for the I think in this case you if you just sold your hunter's potion, you could have afforded the Yomus. That would have probably been a good idea. Obviously you should have also bought the Yomus the last time you went back when you had enough money. But again, Hurricane is a great item. Okay, so this is kind of your team just fighting 4v5, which for no reason, or not even 4v5, it was 2v5 for no reason. Not really much you can do there. Maybe you can try to ping them back before they die. It's a good idea to take the Skull Crab so you got Vision on Baron in case they try to do it. And there's also really nothing else to do in the map currently. His fiddle ultimates are pretty bad. I gotta be honest, he doesn't really hit anybody with them usually. But, okay, so we get a team fight here. Stunned, and okay, there's really no reason to flash out of your ultimate like that, especially since Graves was standing outside of the ultimate. You could have just attacked him. Also, you have to remember that your build currently is extremely greedy. So usually when you have 2 items, you want one of them to be a kind of defensive item, and usually this is Maul. So I think in this case, kind of, especially since you died 6 times. Actually, I mean you're 11-6, which is good, but 6 deaths is also a lot. and dying 6 times in 24 minutes is also a lot. So kind of when you died once every 4 minutes, so kind of so it's and especially if you remember how you died every time you died. You basically died either by Katarina or by getting killed from Annie. And if that's the case, you should definitely the item you should get is definitely a maul. Also, you have to be kind of aware. The last time when Annie ulted you here, sometimes it's a good idea to just ult kind of preemptively, so before she kind of hits her combo. In this case, it didn't really matter that much, but sometimes it's important because Annie was really close to one-shotting you there while you were stunned. So in situations like that, where you know that she might one-shot you, it's sometimes better to just ult preemptively. So kind of cast it before you get stunned, so you can kind of queue it up, so you cast it kind of sort of while stunned, to kind of prevent yourself from just getting killed while you're stunned. Because that's kind of the weakness of your Kindred ultimate, obviously. You need to cast it. So there's a kind of a risk associated with it. Also a reason why QSS is a great item on Kindred. It's generally a great item. Ooh, let's look at this. Yeah, you have an idea that they're in there. Kind of baiting them. Some great BM. Gotta be honest. So, see if anybody's... Yeah, you saw them go in there. So. Okay, so let's see. Just the usual Baron dance at 26 minutes. You see, it's kind of the thing is kind of obviously this is also your team's fault, for the Nami for dying 8 times, the Yorick for being 2 and 5, but really it's kind of, the situation is kind of when you have 11, or when you have, I think at some point we are 7 and 2, and at that point the game should basically be over. Oh, wait a second. Oh god, I completely missed you dying. Holy shit. I didn't even notice that. Okay, well, give me a second. Whoops. I'm sorry about that. So let's see how you die here. Yeah, it's probably gonna be Annie, right? Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be Annie. Let's see. Yep. So this okay. Okay, that was really close. I think if you look at that situation, I'm not sure if it was the correct move to ult there, or if you could have just killed her. You have to kind of remember that Annie as a burst mage is really reliant on her cooldowns. Obviously, Tibbers also deals a lot of damage, but she's also very reliant on her cooldowns. That means that sometimes you have a situation where you're at 100 HP, but and you want to ult, but you have to remember that it's a burst mage anyways, so it doesn't really matter. So you can just kind of say, okay, I have 100 HP and she can kill me with her next spell, but and she's also really low, but her next spell is only coming up in, I don't know, 10 seconds, so there's no reason for me to ult. Another important trick is, if we look at this right here, so take a look at your cooldowns as you go in. So you activate that, okay, so then you Q, activate your W, and then what you should do is right here. Your Q is up, right here, and you should Q, because when you Q while on the edge of your W, your Q, if you Q while inside W and then land outside W, your Q cooldown still gets reset. Of course, in this case, it doesn't really matter, you still kill him, kind of get destroyed by the blind, but it's a very good trick to keep in mind. It's good when it's useful when chasing and when running away. So, okay, very nice. Got the Jin with the tick and then destroy the Annie. This also, see, this is a good idea. Why it's a good idea to buy Hexdrinker. The last time Annie killed you, and this time you killed her without using your Lance Respite. So that was really nice. And again, we've been taking these drakes really well. So you could also take the... in this situation, actually, okay. Yeah, it would have probably been better to go straight to. I mean, obviously you got the Baron here, but you kind of were in middle, and you kind of had to were choosing between getting Drake or getting Baron. So this made it a bit more risky, I guess, because you started Baron when they were all back up. So it's probably a good idea to, especially if it's the air Drake. It's not that important. Oh god, this Nami is really not having a good game. Kind of unfortunate when you get the Baron and then someone just dies. Kind of means you really want to go push mid with your Baron buffs, but you just have to wait it out, wait for your teammate to respawn because you can't go 4v5. So take your red. Again, in a situation like this, I wouldn't give my red to my AD carry. You're 40 and 7. You probably deal more damage than Tristana at the moment. So again, yeah, you got the Baron, so it's a good idea to push down mid. This is, for example, a good ultimate. Every time you're inside, of your ultimate, and the enemy isn't in range, or you can cast the ultimate so you're inside of it, and the enemy isn't. It's a really good spot to do it. So again, killing the Annie, and I think the Maw really helping out here. You'll probably also, you bought an elixir here. It'd probably be a good idea to use that before the fight starts, I guess. Again, another thing that may not matter that much. So we get some Jhin ults to disengage. I'm not sure you even have to go back here. Yeah, okay, you just got poked pretty low, so we have to go here. So again, you got still some Baron buff left, so you should really use that. Okay. See, this is a situation where your ultimate was really, to be completely blunt, this ultimate was horrible, and this ultimate, and if this ultimate might have lost you the game if the situation was slightly different. So let's look at this.
Such befalls all.
No, it's too long. Sorry. So go back here. Okay. So go back 15 seconds. Okay, so we got this fight here coming up. So what's happening here? So you kite the Darius very well. You should probably kite between these auto attacks and not just stand there. Standing still here. Sorry about the Katarina. Okay, so let's look at your ultimate here. Katarina's jumping in. Look at her HP. Look at her HP. You could have ulted 0.5 seconds later. You wouldn't have died. You should have really just killed the Katarina. So let's actually see how this fight pans out now. Yeah, you all get stunned by the Annie. I mean, it did work out in this case because the Annie ulted too early. But again, this is kind of a situation where the reason you didn't potentially lose the game because of that play is that the enemy team did something wrong. So that's not something you want to rely on. If the Annie ulted a few seconds later, so you would have still been stunned after your ultimate ends, you would have all died here. So that, I mean, it did work out, but that was really that's kind of if we want to do the right speak, it's what separates the good Kindred players from the great Kindred players, how you use the ultimate. Again, this is a smart idea, to always just go after the Jhin when they're ulting, because usually they're not even focused on their characters, so it's very easy to just take them down. Again, push through, get the inhib, all very well. So just continue farming a bit, maybe get ready for the Elder Drake. It's up pretty soon. Sorry what you're gonna do. Let's look at this final build here. Blade of the Rune King, not a big fan in this situation, because we have to Blade of the Rune King. In this case, it would have been a lot better, really a lot better to just get the QSS and build the what's it called? The item you get from the QSS that also gives you lifesteal would have been a lot better. So the reason for that is, first of all, enemy team has CC with the Annie, and you're getting Annie stunned a lot. So you really want to stop the CC so you can ult in time, and etc. Also, Blade of the Rune King, the strong part of Blade of the Rune King is, it first of all gives you lifesteal, the QSS item does as well, and then it deals targets current health damage. So, who on the enemy team is stacking a lot of health? The only health item on the entire enemy team, okay, maybe I guess the Ryla is, but it's not really. I mean, she isn't really tanky. She got 2,000 HP, and the Dead Man's Blade. So would have been a lot better to simply get the other item. Against a different team, might have been if they, for example, had a Mundo or a Volibear, then it would be a good idea to get another item, but not in this case. So again, let's look at this fight. Okay, it kind of starts off now again with another Fiddle ultimate that isn't working. So let's see here. So you're going after the Darius here, just ring around the rosy, chasing him. You might want to think about cutting him off. You can jump over this wall. Might have been an idea here. This was again kind of a bad idea by your team to fight without you, without two on your team. I don't know if you could have joined him somehow here. Okay, so this was a great ultimate. Again, as Kindred, you're pretty good at outplaying people while you're ulting. You have your Q you can just cast your Q. So let's see how you play this out against the Katarina. So attack her. Okay, she's activating. This was smart by her. Also, get the nice. This late in the game, actually, I think it's a better idea to just auto attack, because you see, you have 1.8 attack speed. That means that the time between auto attacking is a lot lower than the cast time for your Q, and you don't want to get killed while you're still in the air for your Q, because that could mean that you die instead of killing the enemy. So in a situation like this, it might be better if they're extremely low to just auto attack them, especially since your auto attack deal a lot more damage than your other ability. So see, for example, here a QSS would have been really great. So the game is even actually going to take a bit longer. So your team is going to take the other dragon, hopefully. Let's see if Graves can steal it. Oh god, okay. This Graves isn't able to steal the break against no smite. A bit sad. So again, your team is kind of dying here. The enemy team can't really do much at this point. They have 2 inhibs down, so they can't even really push. Even after they got 2 of your teammates, they can't really do anything. You can just take the free dragon here, and then maybe if you want to play it safe, you can just go top and push through top. So finish the Drake, finish the Baron, I'm sorry. And just go kind of to finish the game off. So you're going alone in mid here. I mean, you know that the enemy team is kind of scattered around here. You don't know where Graves and Darius are. So this is kind of risky to go alone into mid, especially in a situation like this. You don't really have to split push. You can just stay with your team. I think it's going to work out in this case because you're so fat and no one can really fight you 1v1. But if you really want to be with your team, because you have 22 of your kills, 43 kills, and you basically, if your team is fighting without you, then they're fighting. Okay, obviously Jin is also here, so it's fine. But kind of an unnecessary risk when you're winning all the team fights anyways, or most of them. Were you actually there? So, kind of coming in here. Okay, nice. Still 6 kills. So again, kind of end. The Jin is disengaging. You all to save your team, and then again another situation where QSS would have potentially at least saved your life. But it looks like these two might be able to end. Graves is alive pretty soon. I don't know. I think they could have just ended instead of taking the inhib here. So let's see what happens. Okay, the Katarina gets destroyed. fight a fiddlesticks. So this game is probably over. I mean, they have one base turret left with 1000 HP. Should just probably just take the don't risk it. Just go for a 5-man push. I mean, at this point you kind of have the win in the bag, and the only thing that can stop you from winning is kind of a throw. So there's no risk really. Because it's not like the enemy team is going to outscale you soon or something like that. So let's look at the swing fight. Yeah, so kind of staying in the back line, which is a good idea. As you see, kind of AD carry on your team, de facto. Yeah, but maybe use your Q to dodge that. It's a lot easier to just dodge it with your Q. But again, it's kind of whatever in this case. You also have your ultimate, always. You also don't really, every time the Jhin ultied, you kind of ran away from him. And in some cases, it doesn't really matter it doesn't really make it any harder or easier for him to hit his ultimate if you run away from him. Or it doesn't really make it that much harder or easier. So you can just kind of stay with your team, because you saw you were here in the fight when your entire team was up here. In this case, it obviously didn't matter because your team stomped the fight basically 4v5. But in a situation where if the game were closer, it's kind of risky to, or not risky, but your team really needs your DPS to stand here. You also sold your boots for an Infinity Edge. I mean, it's not a problem when you're this fat. Again, you should have probably just bought a QSS just to go for the safety. Overall, this build isn't bad, but the Blade of the Rune King should have probably been the QSS item. So again, kind of reaction time thing with the old. Okay, so I mean, I think you obviously know, or the part of the reason why you sent this replay in particular was obviously that you got extremely fed in. Sorry about that. That you got extremely fed in this game. I mean, you had 22 kills, but you have to also kind of remember the fact that even though you were extremely fed and had 22 kills, you also died 10 times. So again, you're kind of keeping up with these once every 4 minutes you're dead. And 10 deaths in a game is really quite a lot. It's kind of standard in this game, but that doesn't mean that it's okay or that it's good to die that much. So you'd really just play it a bit safer, especially if you're that fat. There's really not a reason to die that much. So again, you could have probably also survived like maybe even 3 times more if you bought a QSS earlier. So against any QSS is really pretty important. I said in the beginning that they don't have that much CC, but because you were stunned so often, it's a good idea to get it. And you have to kind of be more careful about your ultimates and also be aware of the enemy team's cooldowns. So again, for example, there were a few cases where you ultied, and when you're fighting against a mage who didn't have any cooldowns up. For example, here in this fight against the Katarina who had 1 HP left, and also here in the area against the Annie who also had very little HP left. This is another situation where there's no reason for you to ult, and you should probably just go for the kill, kind of, because if you wait for the enemy cooldowns to get back up, an Annie with a Q is usually going to, with a Q up, is usually going to win the duel after your ult ends, because she can simply Q you and insta-kill you with that, or maybe even stun you with that. So this item I was talking about, the Mercurial Scimitar, also gives you lifesteal, more magic resist, same lifesteal as Blade of the Rune King, so it'd be a good idea to get that. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more content similar to this, you can subscribe. We'd also be happy about a like if you like the video. I will also link the Reddit thread again, so you can take a look and maybe submit your own replay if you're interested, or ask any questions you have in the comments. So, have a nice day. Good luck and fun playing the game.